So the theme of this immersion, the 6-week immersion, is the pathless path, which means that every time we gather, every time there is a recording, there's going to be some focal point, some theme that has something to do with what we're talking about, the pathless path. Now, since that can be seen as the ultimate reality of our journey as we awaken more and more, you could think that I could just include anything, and that's true. I could, right? I could find some reason to include everything. But what I'm going to try to do is be attentive to the topic specifically, in that there will be a bit more of a direct correlation between the theme of the day and the overarching theme, the pathless path. So with that, I'll always be making those connections if it's not obvious, but hopefully it will be self-evident, because the pathless path is, like so many of these deep mysteries, is this multifaceted reality that we can look at from many different angles, and not just look at, we can open ourselves to in so many different ways. Your way, unique from my way, unique from somebody else's way. So I really look forward to this experience with you all, both the inquiry of it and the experience of it in our meditation. And I decided, since oftentimes the heart is seen as kind of the seat of the soul, you might use that as a symbol yourself, but oftentimes, since when we say someone's of heart, there's something fully of love or fully generous about them. I thought this first theme could be the really, really well-known line from the Mahayana Buddhist text, the Heart Sutra. And if you've not had a chance to ever read the Heart Sutra, which has to do with Avalokiteshvara speaking, then it's really worth a listen or a read. And there are these beautifully long, ornate series of mantras or chants that break open the Heart Sutra at all. So maybe something to add to your list, like Google the Heart Sutra, the Buddhist text, and see what you come up with, since so much that's in that text is so powerful towards this theme, the pathless path. And what's really interesting about that is that the Heart Sutra is actually Avalokiteshvara having a dialogue. So in a way, there's great talk about the path. In fact, the Heart Sutra is so significant that not only does it have these very deep revelatory statements about reality, but it is even the place where we find the Four Noble Truths and the Two Truth doctrines, and so much in Mahayana Buddhism that's significant and practiced even to this day. So it's interesting that this sutra, which can be elusive, it's really talking about the pathless path, can be so specific in what it outlines as the way of the pathless path, like the Taoist, right? Basically, the way is the no way. So they maps out the way of the pathless path. So hopefully that makes you chuckle just a little bit. And I want to just simply take one line, and this will be the line. The line is actually 2 sentences, but it's one line of Avalokiteshvara. And it goes like this: form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Form is not different than emptiness. Emptiness is not different than form. Wow, what can I do with that, right? There's something that can be a little bit intimidating about that statement, because it is such a dramatic statement of reality, because it is oftentimes in form that we experience what we might call fullness, the form of of holding a cup of something you like to drink, the form of enjoying a beautiful place in nature, the form of having a relationship that is deep and meaningful, the form of having participation in a community that's vibrant for your soul. So I'm giving all examples of form that make us happy. I can give examples that don't make us so happy, but focusing on the happiness. And in that revelatory statement, it's all encompassing. And it means that all of these forms are emptiness. And emptiness is all of these forms, and that the two are not different. Now, I know we're doing a little bit of almost like an intellectual gymnastics game, but we're going to bring it down into the experience, because it can be so easy with these really lovely truths that are widely held to throw them around, right? To use them in superficial ways, even in meaningful conversations. I can't tell you how many times I've been part of a conversation when someone's deep in an experience that has contrast to it, that's sparking grief. And they'll hear the adage, well, all is one, God is in the all. That has truth to it, but is really irrelevant to the experience that this person is having. And the experience is that consciousness is there present as a lover in the grief. And the anecdote and the wisdom is not this overarching, collective, universal truth, if you will. And it could be so easy with a phrase like this to throw it around intellectually. And it's fun to do when it's playful, right? When someone's noticing something of form, and you can throw, well, form is emptiness and emptiness is form. But when you're playing, but when there's a sincerity of share, how do we then tap into this universal statement of reality in a way that's actually meaningful to us? In a way that's meaningful to us. You know, this sutra is called what? The Heart Sutra, meaning that everything that's contained therein has deep meaning for the individual, for the collective, yes, and equally for the individual. So how then do we allow the universal to be intimate so that we can experience the fruit it has to offer, not experiencing the squashing of where we're at, or the bypassing of where we're at, or the neglect of where we're at, but it comes in to support where we're at, to support where we're at. That is the invitation. And that can be a question that can be alive within us. For instance, I was at a gathering and we were asked to go around and give a couple sentences on our path. And this was years ago. And I was sitting with it, and I shared quite honestly, my path has become a pathless path. And to the outer eye, it could have struck a chord, like it was an intellectual postulation that this is a noble way of going, and so therefore, but it's really the result of having paths evolve in such a way that at each juncture the form of the path gets destroyed again, and then a new iteration of a path that is my path, not external but internal, finds a certain rebirth in life, and then ultimately leads towards some level of destruction. And over the years, the destruction has become much, much more subtle. In our earlier years, not chronologically, because this can all happen in a half-hour period of time. It has nothing to do with age, but in an earlier part of my path, some of the destruction was more dramatic in order to break through into the subtle realms. So the question before us, even with the big theme and this theme, is how do we take a theme like that? Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. To be meaningful, to not tempt us to deny that we have the experience of fullness so often in form. Our senses can be full of an experience. It can be full of joy, it can be full of grief, but there's a fullness. And that can coexist at the very time that we are deeply rooted in the form is emptiness, and emptiness is the form. Let's take just a minute around that, just 30 seconds, and then I'll go on to ground this in something experiential. If you ever, Faithful Sutras, 93. Sting of a wasp, rip of a nail, a razor's slice, the needle's plunge, a piercing word, a stab of betrayal, the boundary crossed, a trust broken. In this lacerating moment, pain is all you know. Life is tattooing scripture into your flesh, scribing incandescence in your nerves. So there are forms here that are being destroyed. Form of physical well-being, sting of a wasp, rip of a nail. Form of emotional relationship, stab of betrayal, boundary crossed. Form of community falling short through limitation, trust broken. Concepts letting us down. We even discover within ourselves, which is where I want to round this about to, is what can we trust in ourselves? If our very concepts and beliefs are a form that's really empty, what can we then even trust in ourselves? And we discover that even in these beliefs that we hold in ourselves, in these iterations of truth that we hold in ourselves, and these concepts that we hold in ourselves, even in them, we have to discover through the experience of their limitation that there's a hollowness, that there is an emptiness, an emptiness. And what happens when that happens? Well, we can run away from the emptiness, right? We can fill our cup with adages and consolations that fail to satisfy. We can avoid being touched by this form is emptiness, emptiness is form. We can avoid it. Many human beings, to some degree, spend their entire life avoiding the encounter, the raw encounter. But do you see that it is in that very raw encounter that our personal divinity is experienced in a new way? So allowing this concept of the form is emptiness and the emptiness is form to lead us on its path, to lead us into the direct experience of the actual emptiness. The emptiness can be a moment of ecstasy. there is the legendary story, which I think is true, but it's been retold a lot, that when Thomas Aquinas, a theologian that is very beautiful and has great contributions, and I can't say I stand by all his theology. There are things that I would stand by. So I don't quote him for his theology, but he wrote a magnificent document, right? The Theologica Summa Theologica. He didn't quite finish it, but he was writing it as the sum of theology. He was so brilliant and had been trained by Albert the Great, so brilliant that in a truly conversational way, he was asking these deep questions like, what is God? So he didn't even make assumption that God was a who. And this really piercing, intelligent work, this work that he was devoting himself to, is very, very thick and very seminal. And he was in meditation and prayer one day, and he had an ecstatic experience. And that ecstatic experience, when he came out of it, he looked at all he wrote and he said, it's nothing. It's nothing. That's what we're talking about in the Pathless Path. He wasn't tied to this investigation that had a lot of brilliance, that people are still learning from it. He wasn't tied to it. He wasn't identified with this form, but in the experience in meditation that took him into a deep place of bliss, what had been produced didn't match the resonance of where he was. And this form was empty. Now that happened for him not through the destruction, right? But through the banquet. And I believe that that is equally a pathway for us to the full experience of our divinity. We have then this opportunity to reframe our relationship to all of these things, to look within and to genuinely get a little closer to a stab of betrayal. Yes, feel the emotion of that. Yes, validate the experience of that reality and that story, and let it be a portal, and let it break you open by holding the form as emptiness, not as a postulation, but as a way to experience reality. And this sutra ends in this way. Right here in this single searing point of intolerable concentration, wound becomes portal. Wound becomes portal. Brokenness surrenders to crystalline brilliance of being. Let me reread the line, and then we're going to do the ending phrase of the Heart Sutra as our meditation today. And I don't know if you have a pen and paper, you may want to write it down. Let me see if I turned my chat on, and I can also put it in the chat. I figured out I accidentally had my chat off all this time with Zoom meetings. I do have it on. Okay. So I'm going to put this ending. This is the end of the sutra. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore, gone completely to the further shore. See, even the awakening has gone, 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 because form is emptiness and emptiness is form. So let me reread that powerful statement of Avalokiteshvara. And if you don't remember, Avalokiteshvara is Kuan Yin. So we have this Buddha and Bodhisattva and goddess of compassion, who is the perceiver of all the world's sounds. We have the one who is present to all as the communicator of these words. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Form is not different than emptiness. Emptiness is not different than form. And all we're going to do is we're going to do a really sweet recital of this mantra. We would be chanting it perhaps if we were to do the entire ritual. But here we're just going to get a little taste of it. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. We're going to come into a centering and we're simply going to say that over and over again. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. I invite you to close your eyes. And come close to this form is emptiness statement, in noticing that as you sit here, you are a form that sits, and you are the formless that sits. And let the focus come close. Let the focus drop in on the sweet sounding of the words without application, without direction, without analysis. Just saying them like they're honey in your mouth, or an invocation inviting the revelation. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Breath in. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Breath in. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Breath in. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. And more consistently. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. Oh, awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. One more time. O awakening that has gone, gone, gone to the further shore. Gone completely to the further shore. And notice with saying that mantra, does your heart break? Does your heart have contentment? Does your heart have joy? Does your heart have doubt? Just be with where your heart is. And in this, we end this meditation and we begin our meditation immersion. Draw your palms together in front of your heart and touch the thumbs to the center of the chest, lightly tapping to wake up the heart. And in your own silent words, say something to your heart like, oh heart, I love you. Oh heart, come forward. Oh heart, awaken, awaken, awaken. And with that, I invite you to open your eyes. Blessings, my friends. Have a great night.